There are mainly two types of mobile wrestling games, booking sims and in-ring. Of the former, there are two that really stand out to me as favorites. 80s Mania Wrestling Returns is a booking manager game where you take control of a wrestling promotion starting in the year 1980 and try to maintain the highest rated show over the course of 2 decades. You build your roster out of collectible cards featuring parodies of all the classic greats from the golden, new generation, and attitude era of pro wrestling. Through trial and error, you'll discover new feuds, new tag teams, and more by booking certain superstars together, try different combinations, yield different results. This game keeps track of all win-loss records, title history, tournament winners, and contenders with an active ranking system that changes based on your booking results. At the start of each month, you can select the type of pay-per-view you want to book. Then you start booking your match cards. The first thing you'll need to do is select the venue for which that night's show takes place. As you progress through your booking career, you'll gain access to many more grand options. There is strategy involved with this process, as certain superstars will get a hometown boost for venues in their hometown. Bigger venues are more expensive initially, sure, but of course can yield the highest income if you sell them out. Certain cards will have requirements for positioning on said card. For example, only cards labeled with opener can compete in an openers only match. The same is true for mid-card, main eventers, and so on. You can add flair to any match, including changing the match type, which will provide various boosts to match quality while posing an extra risk to injury chance. You can also sponsor matches to earn a little extra income, and you can even assign managers to help boost a wrestler of your choosing. Booking shows is a blast, and it keeps the just one more show feeling going until, before you know it, it's 3 a.m. in the morning and you have to get up for work in 2 hours. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything. But if you aren't old as dirt like I am, and if you didn't grow up in the 80s or 90s and aren't nostalgic for that style of presentation, well, have no fear, because there is a modern Mania Wrestling, and it retains the same core gameplay experience while adding a, well, modern flair to everything. I can't lie, I love the 80s Mania version, I love the music, the menu layout, all that, but I do prefer modern Mania's presentation style, as it is a bit cleaner and easier to navigate. Plus, it's really cool seeing modern representations of the parodies of the wrestlers we see today. I can't recommend either enough. You can't go wrong with 80s or modern Mania Wrestling. Check them out. For an even more in-depth booking sim, there is Wrestling GM. Yep, but don't let the simple name fool you. This game is insanely detailed. You can choose which country to base your promotion out of, each country having their own meta, complete with fully fleshed out backstories. Each show has its own pros and cons for starting out, and you can consider this a sort of starting difficulty based on which country and promotion you begin with. These promotions all have their own starting rosters, completely filled with very in-depth lore for each of them. There are teams, even factions, and rivalries that you can tweak to your liking. You can even create your own superstars from scratch and add them to any promotion you want. This game is all about control, and you damn sure have it here, right down to the script for each match. You can even pick the winners and losers, add interference, choose from a plethora of match types. I mean, the variety is amazing. I cannot recommend this game enough to the die-hard GM mode or universe mode players from WWE games. While 80s and modern Mania Wrestling Returns are more pick-up and play, kind of casual booking sims, Wrestling GM is anything but casual. I mean, prepare to be doing a lot of reading and really immerse yourself in the culture of what being a promoter is. Because with all the different promotions, all the different territories, all the talent in the game, each with their own backstories, each with their own ranking systems, I mean, you're going to have your hands full in the best way possible. To put it simply, as Tony Khan would say, Wrestling GM is for the sickos. AEW Figure Fighters is a typical mobile game through and through, but there is some fun to be had here. Visually, the game is charming with its action figure aesthetic. You compete in matches that automatically play out based on each figure's stats. Only you can interject at strategic times with a button press of one of your 3 assigned moves. This may seem simple on the surface, and it kind of is, but at higher levels, there is a good amount of thinking involved in when to press these buttons. Good players will capitalize on the auto battle mechanic to ensure they are interrupting their opponent's moves while allowing their own maneuvers to recover during auto moves. You can unlock more wrestlers by progressing through the game's campaign, even unlocking a women's division campaign after going through a couple of tiers of the men's. You'll need to actively upgrade your roster to keep up with your opponents, as they will get tougher during the campaign. This game even has a PvP mode, although in my experience it's not so much a PvP as it is just playing against another user's personalized wrestler, controlled by the AI. A full-on, real PvP mode would have been really interesting. All in all, I can recommend this game to anyone who likes wrestling and is just looking for something to kill a few minutes at a time. I could see this being a decent game to bust out periodically during your lunch break at work or something, but nothing more. Last but certainly not least, because I believe it is the best of this bunch, Wrestling Empire. Yep, I've talked about this on the channel before, and I'm going to talk about it again here because it is on mobile. This game is awesome. From the freedom of backstage transitions to the wide variety of weapon types and interactions, this game truly shines in multiplayer mayhem, but it has enough fun with its wild AI to keep single players on mobile entertained as well. This game even features its own career mode, which I have played many times, and I have so much fun each and every time because each career mode plays out completely differently. It allows for free roam, total control over your wrestler's time and career, with tons of interactions between other characters to make the game world feel alive. This indie game somehow makes its universe feel even more alive and immersive than WWE 2K does. I particularly love the newsletters. You can play this game for free, but paying to upgrade will reward you with more game modes and options. This game gets the highest recommendation from me. Like I said, it is absolutely free to download and try. The AI alone is worth it, as its wacky and unpredictable actions make me laugh out loud. There are so many moments that keep me coming back. For example, I repeatedly bashed my opponent in the face with a weapon in a regular rules match, resulting, of course, in a DQ. And the ref decided to just restart the match because he felt that decision was a bit too rash. I just about lost it. There will be some mildly frustrating moments, like the ref being on the top turnbuckle when you're attempting a pin, but all of this is negligible enough for me to simply laugh it off. That just speaks to how good this game is. Now, before I end the video, I do want to mention a game that has been released on mobile in Japan, but it has not been translated to English yet, and I don't know when it will. Probably within the next few months of me posting this video here. But I do want to mention it because I think it's going to be an absolute banger. Kairosoft, the game company that's known for making simulation-style games on mobile, has released a wrestling game. That's right, and it's called Pro Wrestling Story. It's a simulation game where the player takes charge of a wrestling organization with a focus on training different wrestlers throughout different physical routines. Then you accompany them and watch them grow, watch them win championships, rise through the rankings, and kind of things of that nature. Think of it as like your own personal NXT, what is it called down there? Your own performance center, where you get to just churn out these amazing superstars. If you've ever played Boxing Gym Story, it's another Kairosoft game. I imagine that it's going to play out somewhat similar based on the gameplay footage from the trailer we've seen on the Japanese version. Keep an eye out for this game because, like I said, these are some of the most addicting games you can play. I really wanted to make sure I put a spotlight on this game, and I might just end up making an entirely separate video highlighting this game when it does eventually release in English, because I'm that high on it. So keep an eye out for Pro Wrestling Story. But that's all I have to say today. These are not all of the wrestling games on the App Store, of course. They're just my personal favorites. But I'll toss the question to you. Did I miss anything? What are some of the best wrestling games available on Android, on iOS? Let me know, because quite frankly, I don't know all of the wrestling games. There are many of them, and I could be missing out on some really good ones. These are just my favorites. I do lean more towards the booking sims. I am just that big of a wrestling nerd. I love booking my own show, so of course you see most of those on this list. But again, when it comes to mobile, it's really hard to capture that in-ring experience. I do think that a couple of these get it right, but none better than Wrestling Empire, of course. Wrestling Revolution is also on the App Store. I didn't mention that in here. I could do a whole list of honorable mentions, but I would rather toss it to you guys. So let me know in the comments, what are your favorites? What are your least favorites? Let me know if you check any of these out. Do all the YouTube stuff for me, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and yeah, I will catch you guys next time. Take care.